In this video, I'll share a presentation about leaving my soul-crushing W-2 job in order to invest in real estate full-time. I gave the presentation in front of about 500 people at a real estate mastermind event. And I'm sharing it now because it's exactly the kind of content that I was looking for 2 years ago. I was just getting started, and I remember I wanted permission to leave my job, but then I also wanted tactical steps I could take so that I didn't go broke in that first year without a steady paycheck. This video is for you if you hate your job, but you're not sure if you're ready to throw it away in order to chase after your dream. I'm a little nervous, but hang in there till the end because I get more comfortable, and the end is where I talk about the most important part.
So let's give it up. Get on your feet. Big round of applause. Afternoon welcome for Mark Doty.
Wow, it is crazy to be up here. I'm just getting started. I'm a few steps ahead of some people and way behind most of the other people in the room. But this is my first year. The crazy part of it for me is I was in the audience last year. So I'm in my office. My family's just battling the system around COVID. So we don't have COVID, but we're homeschooling. We've got 3 little kids. Everybody's working from home. We have no daycare. I'm balancing Zoom calls in for work when I can fit them in. I had a great W-2 job. I was making multiple 6 figures in medical device sales before I left, but it had kind of run its course, and I was ready for something different. So I knew that I wanted some help. I came to Flip Hacking Live because I was looking some kind of a system I could follow so that I could get out of that job without completely falling on my face. So in the past 12 months, some of the things that I've gotten through, I left Flip Hacking Live, I joined the Runway program. I completed my first project. I was midstream, maybe 80% done when I joined the program. But I was turning a duplex into a triplex in San Diego. It was taking forever. Then COVID hit, so it took longer. We were over budget. I had the wrong people working for me. But then I got it done. I got all my cash out of that deal. I put it into my next job, my next deal. As soon as I got out of that deal and got into the next one, I quit my W-2 job. Super scary. That's me and my son in the picture. That's kind of what that felt like. That was one of the scariest conversations I had. But also in the last year, I went live with my first property on Airbnb, which is just killing it with cash flow after only a couple months. I started a YouTube channel to begin raising private capital. And then in total, I've got 5 different properties with 13, that will become 13 doors. So I'm just like a step or 2 ahead of a lot of the people in the room. And like I said, just way behind a bunch of the other people. But I came here, and a lot of the success that I've had in the last year, I owed the group, and just kind of wanted to point out some of the stuff that I did. So as Bill mentioned, I don't remember if I've actually described my last name as Doty, like money, but I knew he would catch it. But I'm Mark Doty. I live in San Diego. I invest in San Diego. I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Missouri and Illinois. Went to college at the University of Missouri. I'm a diehard college football and basketball fan, which is particularly painful being a fan of Missouri, but I still do it. So I went from growing up in the Midwest, being in Chicago for about 5 years after college, got out of the cold, dropped everything, moved to San Diego, and became neighbors to my eventual wife, who was in nursing school, and I plucked her off the vine when she was young. She's now a NICU nurse. We've got 3 kids together. This is a pretty close picture of my family. They're all really little. We're super busy. My oldest, Garrett, is just starting kindergarten. My girl is in kindergarten. Garrett's in 2nd grade, Scarlett's in kindergarten, and then my little guy, James, is just in preschool. So last year, they were just all over us, trying to balance the Zoom calls, the work from home. So my background has been in medical device sales. That was a career that I would have killed to get into when I did. It took me a long time. I had a great career. Bunch of promotions. I got on stage a couple times for President's Club, so I had the right background for it. But we went through a restructuring in 2018, and I just knew I wanted something different. They gave me a big promotion with a big pay decrease also. So in 2018 is when I decided I was going to get into something different. I started drinking from a fire hose with all the podcasts and all the books that you have to read, going through all that stuff on the education phase. Didn't get into my first deal for another year. But that's when I started and I decided I was going to be into real estate. My model is a little bit different. So I am in the hyper-competitive market of San Diego, and I do urban infill development in San Diego. So this is actually pictures of the second project that I purchased. What I look for is a single-family house that's on a big, flat, multifamily lot. So we'll buy it as a single-family house, and we're always trying to add value. No matter what we do, we're going to add a bedroom or a bathroom. We might convert the garage into a studio unit. But we're always trying to do something like that, and the goal with each one that we buy is to be able to add units. So the middle picture is the architectural drawing of the same house where we're adding 3 different ADUs and a 4-car garage onto the back of the lot. And this project is going to be, and then the rendering is on the right. This project for me is probably going to turn out to be a flip. So I buy it as a single-family house, add a bedroom, bathroom, do the inside, get everything entitled through the city of San Diego. We take it to the development office, get a stamped approval, and then we've got 2 exit strategies. We either sell it to another developer in town, make a quick 6 to 9 month, probably 6-figure profit, or we can obtain the construction loan, do the build ourselves, do a cash out refi, and then hold it long term. It's basically the BRRRR strategy, and the reason that it works in this kind of market is not because we're buying well as much as we're increasing the value so much that we can get back to that 75% LTV and get all of our capital out. On some of our projects, we're able to do this. And the next step on this, again, in the crazy market that I live in where the prices are so high and the rents don't quite cover it, we're looking at short-term rentals as a way to make our cash flow. I've got one of these right now, and it's doing 2 to 4 times the amount of cash flow that we'd be doing from long-term rentals. Before I got started on this one, I did a roundtable with some of the group members here to talk about the do's and don'ts of getting started on Airbnb. Specifically, Chad and Ashley Whitaker really helped me get this thing going, and it's been killing it. So if anybody's like kind of scared on getting started on Airbnb, please come by my table. I'd love to talk about it. I'd love to talk about some of the negatives that can come across too, because in my city, in San Diego, they're going to crack down on Airbnb eventually, and I'm going to look to pivot into like traveling nurses, corporate housing, or like a medium grade vacation model. But take a look at it if you're holding rentals and looking to increase your cash flow. So anyway, just kind of going back to when I was getting started, I was still in my job and just the things that I was terrified of. Tanya Rooney, I was terrified to leave my job. And these are just the things that I was afraid of. I was afraid of, I worked forever. I wanted to get into that industry. It took me a long time to get in there. I was making a bunch of money. What are my parents going to think of me throwing away this amazing opportunity that I've got? Am I just totally throwing away my 401k, my life savings, because I use that to invest in property? And then, like, if I don't do it, how am I going to pay for my house? I live in Southern California. Those are expensive mortgages. Is my wife going to put up with this for how long? And then that's on top of the fact that I'm like putting myself out there, and my friends are relentlessly hazing me. With more or less everything I did, but specifically my YouTube channel. Check it out, it's awesome. But all of this kind of points to the fact that you don't get the opportunity to be courageous unless you're afraid of something in the first place. If you know it's going to be successful, then there is no courage. Something to keep in mind. To overcome that, think through your why. Why are you considering making this kind of leap? For me, it's that I've got these 3 little kids. They're always watching me. Your kids are always watching you. They're seeing how committed you are to whatever you're doing. They're seeing if you're slacking off, paying attention, or just completely driven and want to make it happen. I don't think the traditional route, you guys have probably heard this before, go to school, get good grades, get a job, stay there forever. I don't think that's going to work for our kids. I think it's changing, and I want to show my kids a different path on how something can work. And then like, let's face it, I was fed up with my job. I'd been there for 10 years in the same company. I was sick of the Zoom calls. I was sick of somebody else giving me a performance review that would dictate how much money I could make in the next year. I wanted control back, and then I also knew that I wanted to do something like this. I didn't know it'd be quite like this with the lights, but I knew I wanted to get into real estate, and I was going to regret it forever if I didn't. I didn't want to get to be my dad's age, who's having trouble getting around now, and think back, wow, I wonder if I ever could have done that real estate thing. Want to live the life without regret. So for me, that's kind of like my why and what I was thinking about. Then I needed to sit down and make a plan. This might be turned. On mine, it's turned. But I sat down with my wife in February of this year. So the date on this document is February of 2021. I talked to my wife, Erica. We set our goals. We kind of came up with the guide rails of what I had to accomplish before I was going to be able to leave my job. About half of these, is this on the side for you guys? Yeah, it is. Okay, you don't need to read all of it anyway. But about half of this has to deal with bringing our costs down, refinancing the house, refinancing the other property, getting a HELOC. That's how I invest. Bringing the costs down, and then the other part of it that was super scary for me was how am I going to get deal flow starting this, because I don't want to do the complex marketing thing. I'm kind of a one-man show, and I'm not looking for high volume. My goal is high margin, low volume. I'm not looking to employ a big team. I don't want to have a wholesaling machine. I don't really want to grow that. So when I came to Flip Hacking Live last year, I was looking for a model of, okay, that's cool that it works in Kansas City or Indianapolis. Show me something that works in Austin or New York or LA, one of these big, expensive markets where I can look at your analytics and your ARVs and what your buy percentage has to be in order to make that happen. And I came across one of the speakers that was there who was in my market, who was doing 80 to 100 deals every year. Jesse, are you in here? I know you're in here because you just said you were. Okay, Jesse, huge inspiration. Big thank you for the presentation that you put up there and on the cruise on the previous year. So Jesse was doing exactly what he wanted to do. He was doing all of this without spending a ton of money on marketing. He was doing it without the SEO, the Google AdWords. May have incorporated some of this now, but he's doing 80 to 100 flips in San Diego. Now I think it's Jacksonville is his second market that he's opened up. So I took all the information that he was doing that was really just marketing or networking with no cost, and I put together my own plan. So I'm still working my W-2 job, and I came up with 3 different buckets of people that I needed to contact every week, every day, in order to get a deal. And there's 3 buckets. It's agents who have an MLS listing. So I didn't want to use my own agent because my goal was to find agents who wanted 2 sides of the commission. So I was going after the greedy agents. No judgment. But that's who I was looking for, so they could do the double dip strategy, get both sides of the commission, and then be incentivized to get my offer accepted with the agent. The second group was just wholesalers in the market. I was going on to Craigslist, Facebook, and going to the RIA meetings where I was getting the list and name, contact information for every wholesaler in my market, where I would call up, try to make friends, make them offers on what they had. It might not be the offer that they wanted, but it was still an offer. And then just make sure that I'm on their cash buyers list. And then the third bucket was the same people that you would see at any one of your RIA meetings. It's hard money lenders, contractors, property managers, and then all the other investors in the room. I was going up to them saying, hey, I know I'm kind of new, but I'm looking for a deal. This is my criteria. If you've got anything, you can lead me in the right direction, let me know. I was adding them to my email list and just reaching out to them occasionally. I'm still doing this while homeschooling, which is awesome for me and my family, doing daycare, and also trying to half-ass work my job. With that in mind, I had a low bar for the amount of time that I was going to be able to spend with this. My weekends and nights are pretty much booked with family stuff, so I'm doing this only during the day, Monday through Friday, regular hours. My goal was to contact 10 people every week, 2 people a day, just 2. I'm not trying to do anything fancy, anything high volume, based on contacting, just having a conversation with 2 people every day. My plan was to get on all of the cash buyers list from any of the wholesalers, make 2 offers, 2 written offers, not informal, not like what would you think of, 2 written offers every week, and then I'd go on 1 property visit. That was my plan. Do that for 8 weeks and see what happens. Hypothetically, after 8 weeks, I would have had 80 conversations. I'd be on all of the cash buyers list. I'd get out 16 offers and get 1 deal, because that's what Jesse said. He said 16 offers and you'll get your next deal. Once I do that, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going all in. And then throughout the process, I would track my progress. I'd get better and improve my talk tracks, improve my confidence, and then I'd gain some momentum and start, hypothetically feeling like a real full-time investor. So my results, after 2 months, I was starting to get in the game. I was talking to agents, I was getting better. Agents were starting to call me back. I was definitely getting counter offers from my offers. I got my second deal under contract. So my date on the to-do list that my wife and I figured out was February. I implemented this in probably March 1st. The first week of March. By the end of April, I got my second deal under contract. That was after haggling with a wholesaler a little bit. I quit my job right before the Cancun trip. I resigned on Friday before we left for Cancun. During the Cancun trip, I got a bunch of good feedback on partnering. After 3 months, so by the end of June, I bought a total of 4 properties, 6 doors. I partnered with a guy who was kind of like the yin to my yang. I'm a sales and marketing background. He's an engineering construction guy, so we work really well together and figured out some new ways to unlock funding. But the key to what we were doing, and the reason that the other people that we were talking to took us seriously, is because we were actually making the offer. I think that's overlooked to some extent for people who are a little bit newer. But by making the offers, people started to take us a little more seriously. So kind of a common theme. This was a simple process. It was a scary process. I was a little bit afraid when I wasn't sure how the other side was going to react, but it was simple. And it worked in San Diego. It worked in one of the most competitive, expensive markets in the country. It will work in your market. And if I'm wrong, you don't have to quit your job to do it. You can make 2 phone calls and 1 offer, or 2 offers in a week. So you can implement it while you're still working a W-2 job. And then if it doesn't work out, it was Jesse's idea anyway. So this is a path you can completely walk. It's easy, you can implement it, it'll work, but no one's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to educate you, nobody's going to get you up in the morning, nobody's going to motivate you to get out there and go do it. Your friends and family, they probably don't even want you to quit your W-2 job. And it's not because they don't believe in you or they don't want you to be all that you want, super successful. It's because they don't know the path. So what worked for me was to get around more people that had done some of this stuff in the past, find somebody that I could model, and then if you really want it, and this is for you, make your plan and go get it, because nobody's going to do it for you. That's it.
So that was pretty scary for me. What'd you think? Leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought of the presentation. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for watching the channel. If you like the content that I'm putting out there, please subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.